Australia, former Australian captain Johnny Warren. Johnny, another new season for us. It's been a long time since '77. We have seen a Newcastle team in the league before, but we are looking forward to seeing them back once again. And I must say, here at Oswald Park, it's a very professional setup, which ought to augur well for a new season.
Well, Les, I think off the park, the fact that we've got the home of Australian soccer back in the league and an area which has produced so many of our first-class players. They were in the league, they were very successful in many respects. I think the difference is now that they have this facility, they have their own ground, and the crowd here tonight for the first game, and so many kids. I mean, this is what Newcastle's about, it's what Coca-Cola National Soccer League's about, and one wishes Newcastle well. I think they will not make the same mistakes they made last time.
Okay, it's another season of summer soccer, the third season of summer soccer, and this really is what it's all about. We have a new team here with all the curiosities surrounding that, and we've got Adelaide City, one of the most attractive teams in the NSL.
Well, Adelaide City would be on everyone's list of teams to beat this year, I would think. They are, however, traditional slow starters. I don't think anyone's going to come to Newcastle and have an easy game. And tonight is going to be very interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was an upset, because Adelaide City, with their slow start, I think they are missing Aurelia Vidmar at this stage, and Newcastle with a lot of NSL experience in their side. I think we're going to have a tremendous game, and would not be surprised if we had an upset. All
right, John, thank you. We'll catch up with you in the commentary box. In the meantime, Andy Pascalidis is standing by with a couple of pre-match guests.
Thanks, Les. And the start of the National Soccer League season has a special significance for two players in particular. They were former teammates at St George, and I'm talking about Zoran Ilic and Andy Koczka. And, well, you were mates for a few years there at St George, but there's no love lost today, Zoran.
Definitely not. We haven't come all this way for a draw or a loss. We're going to try our best, and hopefully we can do it.
Have you spoken to your old friend now lately?
I played against Zoran a couple of times in the State League, so I saw him then.
Have you got any tactics? Are you marking this man next to me?
Mate, they've got 11 players and probably about 10 internationals out of that 11, so we have to watch every player. You know, there's no players that we'll be looking after, especially when you play against one of the best teams in the country. You just got to make sure everyone's picked up.
The Coca-Cola National League has a special meaning for both of you, because it's a new part of your careers, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's good to see Coca-Cola joining the soccer league. Hopefully it's here for a long time, and yeah, it's just great to see him.
Any goals, Zoran?
Oh, you know, I don't score too many, but if I do, you'll definitely see it.
Newcastle win, Andy?
Oh, mate, I wouldn't stick my neck out and say that. We just want to put up a good showing tonight for all the people that came out to support us. If we were playing probably a lesser quality side, we'd have a better chance, but the draw hasn't done us any favours, so we'll take Adelaide.
Okay, you can shake hands now. It'll be about the last time, I think, this year. Thanks a lot, guys. There you have it. Two real characters in the Coca-Cola National League, Andy Koczka and, of course, Zoran Ilic. And here's Les Murray now with the full team lineups.
Thank you, Andy, and there indeed is the Newcastle lineup. In goal, number 1, Sean Lahiff, back from overseas. Number 2, former young Socceroo Ralph Maier. At number 3, Ian Heddle, a Scottish import. At number 4, Dominic Longo, a former young Socceroo as well. At number 5, Andrew Koczka, the skipper. At number 6, Craig Moffitt, also a former St George man. At number 7, Brad Maloney, star of Portugal. At number 8, John Koch. At number 9, one of the New Zealanders, Colin Tuaa. At number 10, another Kiwi, Noel Barkley. They're the two strikers. And at number 11, Nick Meredith, who hails from Queensland. On the bench for Newcastle, Darren Northam at number 12 and Naumov at number 13. Here is the visitors' lineup. Adelaide City in goal, Zabica, the best keeper in the country, according to most. At number 2, Paul Shillabeer, an old stalwart of Adelaide City. At number 3, Mike Brooks. At number 4, Milan Ivanovic, the sweeper of the Socceroos. At number 5, Alex Tobin, one of the most regular Socceroos of their time. At number 6, Sergio Melta, who's been around since 1977. At number 7, Ernie Tapai, another Socceroo. At number 8, Carl Veart, who plays for the Australian Olympic team. At number 9, Tony Vidmar, younger brother of Aurelio. At number 10, Steve Maxwell, former Socceroo as well. And at number 11, the man you've just met, Zoran Ilic, formerly of St George. On the bench, quite a good-looking bench too for Adelaide City. Joe Mullen at number 12 and the Hungarian import Robert Chobot at number 13. The referee for today is Mr. Gordon Dunster. He's from Newcastle, but he's only been here a very short time, 30 years of age. He's a financial manager, and this is his second NSL season. And we're away in the 16th NSL season, the new season 1991-92, and of course Newcastle BHP Breakers in their very resplendent red and blue colours attacking the goal to our right. And it really is a lovely setting here at Austral Park in Birmingham Gardens in Newcastle. $1 million spent on the new stand that you will get a side of, no doubt, through the match, with 2,000 people accommodated and some 46 corporate boxes. Both teams doing pretty well in their pre-season matches, particularly Newcastle, who played 3 games and were not beaten in those 3 games. A 1-1 draw against Wollongong, a 2-2 draw with Sydney Croatia, and a 2-0 victory over Melta Eagles, who of course were in the top 5 last season, and all of those matches away from home. So a feel of the ball for Robert Zabica, and one of the big hurdles for Newcastle Breakers to overcome today. Johnny Warren looking down that Adelaide City lineup. It can look quite frightening with all those Socceroos, ex-Socceroos and Olympic team representatives. So quite a hurdle to overcome for this newly bred Newcastle side.
Well, in speaking to Bruce Stowell, as early in the week, he was happier playing such a distinguished team, if you like, in the opening game, because the pressure really is on Adelaide City. They're traditional slow starters. Bruce's side, Newcastle, on the other hand, really needs a few games, one would think, to get the teamwork up to the level that he would desire. But I just, and maybe 100% wrong in saying this, but I just sense that Newcastle can make things very difficult.
Well, the first time that we've come anywhere near the goal in this match, just a few seconds gone, of course. And it's Adelaide City under a little bit of pressure. Here's Milan Ivanovic. And one wonders whether he will be the Socceroo sweeper in the coming campaign for the World Cup. One of his rivals, certainly, Paul Ocon, has now gone overseas. And, of course, there's Ned Zelic, who's still negotiating to go overseas. So the spot could very well end up with him. Here's Zoran Ilic. Breaking through, he goes past one man, tries to put it inside, but his former teammate Andrew Koczka arrives. And Zoran Ilic loves to beat his man on the floor before he executes the final blow. So it'll be the first corner of the game to Adelaide City, to be taken by Ernie Tapai, who was rather crippled by injury last season. Adelaide City didn't really get their money's worth in his opening season with them. So I think the header there was by Shillabeer. Here's Ilic. And it's away by Ian Heddle. Adelaide City are back. Here's Ernie Tapai again. Ilic is away. There's a suspicion of offside, but it's not given. And a good save by Sean Lahiff. Well, that really was a chance by Zoran Ilic, getting away, beating the offside trap. And Sean Lahiff coming to the rescue of the home side. Well, John, I think perhaps the finishing could have been a bit more lethal.
Yes, I think Zoran would have liked to have finished that a little bit better, Les. There was the gap on the far side. But looking at Ilic, I'm sure he's going to enjoy this season with Adelaide City. He's played with the St George side for so many years, and in more recent times, they've been pretty desperate times for St George, where they've been up against it, not an ideal team, if you like, to play in for a young attacker and a young goal scorer. So I'm sure he's going to enjoy the extra freedom and support about him this season. But that opportunity was one which, to maintain his place in the Adelaide City team, they're the types of chances that he's really got to put away.
So it's still 0-0. We've had about 11 or 12 minutes gone in the match, and there is the whistle again from referee Colin Dunster. A quickly taken free kick by Maloney, and a low cross in, driven in, and finally away. Robert Zabica wasn't exactly sure where the ball was. There was an intervention from Shillabeer to put it away for a corner. And it was a nicely driven in ball. A good pass from Maloney. Heddle was the man who overlapped, and Shillabeer arrived in the nick of time. And Robert Zabica must be the envy of all goalkeepers, really, to have a man with his experience right in front of him. Here's Mike Brooks, not so experienced. Tony Vidmar. Brooks again. Interception was by Maloney. Melta tries to power his way through, and Dominic Longo came across to intercede. Still 0-0 at Austral Park in Newcastle, between the Newcastle BHP Breakers and Adelaide City, opening round of the 1991-92 Coca-Cola National Soccer League. Here now is Tony Vidmar, back in his old left full-back role, and the man who came to meet it was Carl Veart, but Andrew Koczka was there as well. Andrew Koczka, who still lives in Sydney, by the way, travels up for his training sessions. 2 or 3 hours drive from Sydney. He's a long one forward for Colin Tuaa to chase, and the whistle's gone for a foul by Tuaa on Alex Tobin. Free kick to City. In the top 5 last season, very consistent performers. Won the league once since Zoran took over.
What's the hands, fellas?
And what a splendid season that was for them. Here's Tony Vidmar. Found some room for his right foot. Ilic missing the header. Away by Maier. Now Brooks.
Hold the line.
Square for Melta. And for Vidmar. Much to be admired about the way Adelaide City players know each other, but they have been together a very long time. But here's a break by Colin. Barkley, and a good save by Zabica. It was a ricochet off his right hand. It was a good save. He was perhaps a little fortunate. No, Barkley not so fortunate. He got away. Again, Heddle involved, and Barkley had the shot. Zabica getting down fast for it, and he was fortunate that an Adelaide City player was there. So another close call. That time in front of Robert Zabica. Now, here's John Koch. Well, he hurried it just a little. And John, I think that, again, the sign of not nerves, but anxiety, perhaps, at making an impression in your NSL debut. That's to be expected. But a couple of very well-worked moves by the Breakers. Well, with more experience, could have finished in goal.
Yeah, more understanding of one another. I mean, Barkley was free there, and it's easy for us to sit here and say, but Koch's ball there was into Barkley, who was completely free. But 2 very good moves in the last minute for Newcastle, the type of thing they perhaps needed to just boost their confidence a little bit and take the game back to Adelaide City. I felt up to that stage they've just conceded ground and the initiative to Adelaide City. Those moves will give them the confidence, also ignite this crowd a little bit, a very healthy crowd here who really do need a good performance in this first up game from their team to get Newcastle back to what it was, and that was the best supported soccer town in Australia.
What a save required from Robert Zabica, that time from Noel Barkley. Well, I have to say that we were shedding some criticism on Noel Barkley a moment ago, both of us, but that time he hit that brilliantly and on the half volley. And Robert Zabica proving again why he's reckoned to be the best goalkeeper in the country. And the long ball forward from Ivanovic. Little touch wanted by Zoran Ilic, didn't make it. And Colin Tuaa, well, it's disputed by the crowd, certainly the home crowd, and Colin Tuaa, judging by his reaction, wasn't happy with the decision either. I'm not sure whether it was a foul. I thought he touched the ball first, but here's the overlap from Tobin now. And it's away for a throw-in, which will be an Adelaide City throw-in to be taken by Brooks. The referee, he's had a good game so far today, although it has to be said, he hasn't been given a hard time by the players here today. Now Tapai, little chip inside, there's nobody there, away by Barkley. Although Barkley thought there may have been some danger behind him, lurking behind him, so he put it away for another corner, and there may indeed be some danger as a result of it. Sean Lahiff, a youngster still, a couple of seasons in Finland and now back in Australia, but he told us that as a goalkeeper he's got plenty of time to try his luck overseas again. Tobin didn't quite get there. Melta.
No!
And there was a touch from a Newcastle player who's down on the deck. I think it is Dominic Longo, unless I'm mistaken, who's down on the park. There was a intervention from him, and it's gone out for another corner. And one of the things that one really has to do, I suppose, John, when preparing a team is make sure that the corners are executed right. But we've seen a few tonight, and there hasn't been much success from them. But let's see this corner to be taken by Ernie Tapai. He knows how to take them. It'll be an outswinger. Up goes Tobin and Shillabeer. Tobin! And it's 1-0 to Adelaide City. Well, Adelaide City breaks the deadlock. It is met with delight around the faces of the Adelaide Cities. Not much by the crowd, of course. It was a good-looking corner from Tapai. There was a posse of players up, and finally it felt free for Alex Tobin, and it's 1-0. And we've got about 4 minutes to go before the break. John?
You put that down to lack of understanding, Les, in the defence there. Just not the organisation that you'd expect from a team. And again, I say that it's because it's such a new side. 3 players there, 2 of them left free. It was a matter of who was going to have the shot. Tobin finally taking it and putting it away. But Bruce Stowell will be a little bit disappointed with that, because a few more minutes and he's got the team in at half-time and able to correct a few things. But it's certainly gold for Adelaide City, and will spark the game up. We always say the game needs the goal to bring a little bit more of an adventure from both sides, and that will be the case now.
That's the side of the pitch opposite to the main stand, and here on this rather pleasant summer evening, or early summer evening, perhaps late spring, the local fans enjoying themselves, but they would like a goal from the home side. But it looks as though they may not get it until the second half. Adelaide City still leading 1-0 through that goal by Alex Tobin. And there indeed is the half-time whistle. So Alex Tobin and his goal, 4 minutes, or I should say around 4 minutes before the break, separating the two sides. Possession game played well by Adelaide City, and at times some very good moves by the Newcastle Breakers. They need a bit more confidence, which will come if they can break their drought and score in the second half. The half-time score is Newcastle Breakers 0, Adelaide City 1. Let's go now to Andy Pascalidis on the sidelines.
Well, one man who's been following this game very closely indeed is the Chief Executive Officer of the Australian Soccer Federation. And Ian Holmes, I'm sure you're very impressed with what Newcastle has come up with, not just on the field, but the whole setup here.
Well, I think Newcastle certainly have shown clubs what has to be done off the field. The fact that they have built this stadium up in a very short period of time, that they have involved major corporations such as BHP, such as, may I say it, NBN3, 2HD, Coca-Cola. They've brought in large industries and large companies from in the region to support what they are doing, and that is critical to the survival of the game.
Well, you said Coca-Cola, and I suppose, not being biased, but the TV coverage in Coca-Cola, that's cut off a lot of risk, I think, around the soccer public, because there was that element of doubt about where soccer was going.
Well, to snare, if you like, a major multinational company the size of Coca-Cola certainly will help drive the game in the future. They will lend to us their expertise in the marketing area and help drive the game off the pitch, and will give their expertise to the clubs, which is very, very necessary when you bear in mind that we really are in the entertainment business, not just sport.
You talk about entertainment, I think back to the World Youth and the World Under-17, it's been very good for Australian soccer. And I'd say the third season of summer soccer is the most important one so far.
Well, we believe it is. Last year we had 700,000 spectators come through the turnstiles, and it is our aim this year to try and break the million mark. So we will be setting over the next few years targets so far as bringing spectators through the turnstiles.
Just goes to show you, being down here on the sideline, that Sydney and Melbourne might have been the focus of soccer attention over the years, but you're looking at Newcastle. It's a great setup, and I think a great future for them.
Well, I do believe initially that the ASF made a fatal error or fatal flaw when they decided to reduce the number of teams in the National League a few years ago and lopped off major regional centres outside of Sydney and Melbourne. But that error has now been corrected, and certainly the BHP breakers are able to demonstrate to all the other clubs what it is that has got to be done to make the game go forward.
I know you don't follow too many teams, but you've got to give us a bit of a prediction for the second half.
I believe it'll probably end up a 1-1 draw. I think breakers will come out in the second half.
Come on, Holmes, you're not sitting on the fence on me, are you?
No, I'm not. They were unlucky a few times. Robert Zabica clearly is in good form, which is also good for Eddie Thompson, our national coach. But I believe they'll turn it on in the second half. But always Adelaide City are a classy outfit under Zoran Matic. So.
Okay, what can I say? Thanks a lot, Ian Holmes, and a man who's got quite a bit of weight on his shoulders with Australian soccer in the future. We'll come back straight after this break with the second half.
So as we welcome you back, a reminder that the score here is 1-0 to Adelaide City. And they're the team who are leading in the black and white to attack the goal to our right in this second half. Our referee, to remind you again, is Mr. Colin Dunster, or Gordon Dunster, I should say, of Newcastle. And the scorer, Alex Tobin, from an Ernie Tapai corner in the first half. Well, one wonders what Bruce Stowell had to say to his red and blues in the half-time break, and we shall certainly sense that in these early minutes of the second half. That was a lovely little touch from Colin Tuaa, square ball for Maloney. And Maloney just took a touch too long, and Ernie Tapai is very, very quick on the uptake, just interceding. Out it goes to Brooks on the far side. Short one for Maxwell. Brooks goes on the left, but Maxwell forced to play it back. Here's Brooks again. Vidmar. Here's Shillabeer. Short one for Veart, turning away from his man. Back to Melta. Back to Veart again. There are three men to his left. Here's one of them, Ernie Tapai. Brooks is overlapping. Tapai elects to shoot, and he bombs it over. Ernie Tapai, who was a busy boy in the first half, wanting to prove his worth to Adelaide City. I know that he was an admirer of this club before he joined them, and then on that particular occasion, his shot ballooning over.
Thank you!
Here now's Tuaa.
Thank you! Get it back!
Free kick to the breakers.
Thank you!
Referee just exerting his authority on where that free kick is to be taken from. Here's Moffitt. Maier. Tapai to the rescue. And Ilic brought down in spectacular fashion by his former teammate, Craig Moffitt. And
Thank you, fellas.
much can be said about Craig Moffitt, but being soft in the tackle isn't one of them. And very much a free kick. Already taken. Shillabeer. And that was too long for Veart. And the intervention was from Sergio Melta.
Thank you!
Here's Barkley, inside for Tuaa. Koch made a run in the middle, took a man with him. Here's Maloney, and that time it's Ernie Tapai who gets the first booking of the match. Well, a tackle not dissimilar to the one that Craig Moffitt committed, John, just a few seconds ago. But Ernie Tapai coming in very, very rugged fashion to collect the first yellow card of the game.
Well, I think the difference there, Les, was that could be construed as an attacking situation, or certainly building up to a goal-scoring situation, and would come under the interpretation of professional foul. But I think the referee has handled the game very well, Gordon Dunster, so far. The microphone has given us an insight into, he's talking to the players, explaining things, and really I think he's handled the game in a first-class manner so far.
Here's the free kick, floated in. Moffitt is there, and it floats over. And if one remembers Craig Moffitt's days with St George for the last couple of seasons, we know that he's scored quite a few goals from those sorts of positions. The ball floated towards him at the far post, and he always knows how to rise above his defender. And John, I wonder what you estimate the crowd here to be. They did expect around 5,000. I think they'd be pretty well close. It's a very pleasant evening here tonight, and of course a lot of promotion here in Newcastle for the game.
Yes, Les, without knowing the ground, I would think probably a little more than 5, but that is the problem for Newcastle tonight. They're playing 2 games, one on the field, which is a very difficult opponent, Adelaide City, which they're trying to win. The other one, probably a more important game for them, is to win the hearts of the public off it. And for that reason, I think that it is necessary that Newcastle really have a go in the second half. The crowd would rather see them go down while having a go, rather than to go back just sitting back and protecting, or just going for 1-1, or maybe just a narrow loss. I think it's very important that they have a go in the remaining 35-40 minutes and win the hearts of the crowd, because they have a home game next week against South Melbourne, and it is vital that they win the Newcastle public support.
On the line, fellas.
Oh, we've had 8 minutes gone in the second half, and it's another free kick to the Newcastle Breakers, not far away from the penalty area. And perhaps, as John previewed, they might be able to do something from this. There will be a rehearsed set piece here, 5 players around the ball, and there's a huge wall up for Adelaide City. And John Koch. Well, there are a couple of decoy runners. John Koch just hitting the dead ball with his left foot, and it was a testing one for the goalkeeper, but Robert Zabica not forced to move either way, really. The ball curling comfortably into his arms. Now Veart. And he makes some space for the cross. Not a bad-looking cross either as Ilic arrives. I think Lahiff may have got a touch to that. Here's Maxwell. Wants to make some space so he can get some sort of a cross in here. He's got support now in Melta. He's got room for the cross. Up goes Veart. Great save by Lahiff required. A good move involving Sergio Melta and Veart. And then a fabulous save by Sean Lahiff at the end of it. Veart was the man who attempted it. It's the closest he came on the night to scoring. The ball was played in by Sergio Melta, curling away from the keeper. A good header and a fine save. Difficult circumstances for the keeper.
Behind the line, over there, then. Keep going.
So Sean Lahiff just showing us a bit of what he's made of. 2 seasons in the Finnish First Division with Koparit, and then really forced to come home because There were huge financial problems at the club as this cross comes in, and there was an interception, so it'll be a corner. Financial problems at Koparit in Finland for Sean Lahiff forced that club to shed all of its imports, contracted players. And Sean Lahiff had an offer from Reading in the English Football League and some lower division clubs in Europe, but he decided he's going to try to make his grade in the NSL. Here's a corner to come in from Nick Meredith. It'll be an in-swinger for the Newcastle Breakers. And well, I thought it was an Adelaide City player who may have got a touch to that one, almost an own goal, if that indeed is the case. Yes, the referee has given a corner. So there was, I think, a touch. Yes, indeed, it was the Adelaide City number 5, Alex Tobin, who got the touch from that replay, so it'll be a corner from this side now. Headed on again by Tapai, and danger! And it's over. The fans on this side thought it may have been a goal. And Dominic Longo goes back, very distressed that it wasn't more accurate. There was a header on from Ernie Tapai onto the far post, and Dominic Longo arrived, and it went just over. Here's Veart. Maxwell on his left. Veart is on, the ball is on his right foot. And now arriving is Melta, and the flag went, well, it must have been touch and go. Melta looks at the referee, who says I was never offside. But it was very, very close. It's a bad angle for us to judge. But from that particular angle, the linesman may well have been right. Carl Veart playing the ball through. And by the time Melta arrived, he was offside. Now Bobby Nomog is away on the right. With him is Zoran Ilic, trying to correct, having lost the ball, and he gives away a free kick instead. Acknowledges that the tackle was late. Bobby Nomog sprinting away on the right, and Zoran Ilic, who lost the ball to him in the first place, coming across and challenging late. So here then is the free kick to be taken by Ralph Maier. There are plenty of men in the area as Zabica punches. Here's Heddle, and very well read by the Adelaide City sweeper Milan Ivanovic. So here's the resultant corner to be taken by Ian Heddle. Zabica is ready, punched by the keeper. Here's Heddle again, lofted back in, good header down, and the Adelaide City players said let it go. It was going wide, and Craig Moffitt again grimaces as he trots away at his lack of good fortune. It wasn't a bad first-time cross from Heddle as Craig Moffitt got up, and it was perhaps a half a metre or so wide. So the minutes ticking away. We've had 25 in the second half, and Adelaide City remains 1-0 in the lead. Alex Tobin, their scorer in the first half. John Koch. And Dominic Longo losing it out. Ilic, and there's a break on the left from Maxwell, only the keeper to beat, and he does so, and it's 2-0. Yes, indeed, it was curtains by the time Maxwell got the ball. Dominic Longo, who was so unfortunate not many minutes ago at having a goal opportunity denied him. Ilic played the ball through after the breaker player lost it. And then Steve Maxwell said, thank you very much. It's 2-0. So, John, it was a case of the ball lost in the middle of the park by the unfortunate Dominic Longo, and Steve Maxwell really misses those.
Well, he put it away so well, didn't he, Les? Very cool and calm, but that is really the difference, that you cannot afford to make mistakes like that at the back. The game swinging a little bit Newcastle's way, or certainly a good period for them. When you leave yourself open at the back with a mistake like that, it is just penalised by a professional finisher like Maxwell. It's very difficult now for Newcastle, but I still believe they're going to win more fans by having a go than by sitting back and saying, well, it's only 2, let's leave it at 2 type of situation. They've really got to have a go at them. There's not much they can do in terms of changes. They've only got one more change that they can make. But for Newcastle, number 3, Heddle, has impressed me. Les, I think he's a real find for them. And a player we're going to hear a lot more about.
Barkley dispossessed. In comes the cross from Heddle. Maloney was ready to shoot. Here's Maier. Space on his left foot. Good shot from Ralph Maier. And an excellent save from the second goalkeeper, Robert Zabica. Ralph Maier runs back and says to himself, we need a few more of those if we're going to pull this game out of the fire. He did well to make some space for himself. Put the ball on his left foot. And then a vicious shot, well saved again. Here's Heddle. Very much in the dying seconds of this match now. We are, by my watch, well into stoppage time. 2-0 to Adelaide City. Zoran Matic will be a contented man. Not that he shows much of that, but a good save by Zabica. It looked to me as though it was going wide, but Zabica was there to make sure. He's done some splendid work tonight. And there again, well, it may have gone inside the post. So just as well, from his point of view, that Robert Zabica was down for it. And that's a foul by Nick Meredith. It'll be a free kick to Adelaide City. Well, if Eddie Thompson was here tonight, which I don't think he is, he would have seen some excellent verification of why he picks Robert Zabica in his Socceroos side, and why he picks so many Adelaide City players in his Socceroos side, because they have won this match 2-0. Gordon Dunster winding it up. He's had a good game, and I think Zoran Matic will be the happiest man, as Johnny Warren said earlier, about taking the 2 points away from this place, which must have represented some mystery to him. He did not know what to expect here. The good times are still to come for the Newcastle BHP Breakers. The final score then, the Newcastle Breakers 0, Adelaide City 2. And let's go down to Andy Pascalidis on the sidelines.
Well, I'm sure the fans of Newcastle can take heart from their team's performance tonight, and with me is the coach, Bruce Stoll. Bruce, are you happy?
Reasonably so. I'm never happy when we give goals away, and we gave 2 away tonight, but I think it's a problem we can take heart from, and if we improve over the next 2 or 3 sessions, then I think we can continue to improve from tonight's performance.
Tough battle first up, and you did have your chances though.
We did indeed, but tonight we found why Zabica is the Australian goalkeeper. He's saved everything, he's caught everything, and he's really stopped us from scoring what I thought were 2 or 3 quality goals, but Zabica appeared from nowhere. So, you know, we've got to take our hat off from him, and I'm sure their coach is doing the same, thankful that Zabica was in goals.
You've said in the past it's not really a year of consolidation. You want the top 5 spots.
I want it, and on tonight's performance, with a little bit of improvement and rid of the naivety, I think we can get there. And I'm not just saying that. I think we can work hard and get there, and we'll surprise a few teams. And
just finally, you've got a tough one next week, South Melbourne Hellas.
Yes, it's another tough one on top of this, but I think if we can pick the lads up, then that's probably good for us now, because we've seen that we can match it. And tonight, if we learn, I think we can more than match it with South Melbourne, and maybe we can get the results that I think our lads deserve from tonight's performance.
Andy Pascalidis with that interview, and Johnny Warren is back with me. John, I think in summation we can say that Adelaide City certainly did the job tonight as we expected of them. But I think that Bruce Stowell can take a little bit of heart from the way Newcastle played.
Not just heart for Bruce, but also for the team and more importantly for the public. It's a super setup, a great crowd. It's a game where it just showed the difference. I thought there may be an upset, but I think the reason there wasn't is that Adelaide City took the fewer chances that they had and scored, whereas Newcastle couldn't convert the more opportunities that they had. So on strikes on goal, Newcastle came out well. I think all people in Newcastle have to be very patient. It's something that's just conceived, it's new, it's like a new child. It has to grow and develop, and the team needs a lot of time. More importantly, from the terraces and from the other support, they need patience.
Now, I might add too that the crowd was very good here tonight, just under 6,000. But we know what we've learned from this game, in that Adelaide City will certainly be a power this season. They are certainly to be tipped to be a top 5 place. What about Newcastle? I saw enough class there that maybe Bruce Stowell can get his wish of them certainly threatening for a top 5 place. Do you think?
Well, I think they'll mature very quickly. They've had Adelaide City tonight, they've got South Melbourne next week. It's all right to play trial games, but this is the real thing. And once you can play a lot of trial games, and you won't develop as quickly as they will playing these bigger games like Adelaide City tonight, South Melbourne next week. So I think the progress will be very rapid. But whether they're top 5 material, I'd have to see the other teams first. I still think it's perhaps a little bit optimistic.
Okay, John, thanks for joining us tonight. Well, let's go down to Melbourne now for some reports of some of the action down there from our reporter, Carl Patterson.